Hello Tarot Rebels, welcome to today's video. My name is Michaela from Tarot Rebel and I'm super happy to see you joining us today. This topic will revolve around second chances, more specifically decks I've given second chances to, or decks I should give second chances to. And without further ado, I just want to remind you that this is not a tarot reading. This is just my personal opinion. This is not in any way sponsored by anyone, any of the deck publishers or creators. None of them have supported the creation of this video. And I would love to see your comments, your reactions to my second chances, if you like. If you want, leave a comment in the section down below, drop me an email. I'd love to see what other people think of this this topic. So, first prompt would be, what deck did you give a second chance to and worked out? And I actually have 3 decks that support this. So, first of all, the Muse Tarot, which is a very underrated deck for me. I think I've spoken at great lengths how I felt about it in the beginning. I wasn't necessarily sold on the collage type of artwork, but I woke up one day and I was like, I need to have this deck. Even though I resisted buying it for the longest of times, and I think it's a bit too jarring in terms of color palette. And the artwork is clearly digitally manipulated. Somehow it works. It just works. It's such an instant hit for me and for others. If I read for other people, it's always a pleasure. The cardstock isn't the greatest, but I love it. And honestly, right now I'm wondering why I've resisted the deck for such a long time. I'm not a fan of the Light Seers, which is a similar type of deck. If I remember correctly, it's the same artist. The Light Seers is still on my no-no list, but the Muse Tarot was a definite hit. Then I have the Mystic Mondays. Again, a deck with a color palette that doesn't necessarily speak to me. The gilding, the holographic gilding is ridiculous. The shuffling is horrible in this deck. But somehow it just works. I was gifted this deck. One of my dear friends got me this deck and I was like, I'm not sure. But as soon as I opened the box, as soon as I shuffled the cards, this is such a clear reader. It's such an instant hit and I'm super happy I decided to give it a second chance because, again, I don't know if it's the color palette, it's very intense. Clearly it's digital art, right? I don't know the exact name, but I think it has a certain anonymity to it because the people aren't necessarily drawn with faces and expressions, and it's some sort of pippish deck, but at the same time it's very expressive and very easy to read. And it's an absolute banger, I will say. In terms of reading with it, I think it works as soon as you take it out of the box. And I do like the box, I would have to say. It's a bit quirky. As you can see, mine is a bit meh, because I've used it quite a lot. Let me put the decks here and I'll try to fit everything in the frame. And the last deck, I was surprised by it because I honestly didn't want to give it a chance. I sort of mostly use it as a tarot deck, even though it says Psychic Tarot Oracle deck for some reason. It's just, it makes sense to me as a tarot deck, and also because of the chakra cards, I use it as a chakra deck. I bought this deck secondhand from an eBay seller, and it was reeking of cigarette, right? I regretted buying this deck. I left it to air for almost a year without using it, and one day I was like, instant click. I went to the desk, to my office space where I keep my decks, and I was like, I need to use this deck, and I went, got it, and never stopped using it since. As you can see, the deck was already very much used and loved before, but I kind of use it almost every week, I want to say, probably more than a couple of times a week, because it's such an easy reader, and I absolutely love reading with this deck. Okay, next we have, what deck did you give a second chance to and still didn't work out? And I have some surprises. I have 3 of the most loved decks ever. I'm gonna start with Tarot of the Divine, because this deck was such a hit a couple of years ago. I've used it, I'm not gonna lie, I've used it in readings, in my videos. It's just, I tend to read with it based on the book rather than intuitively, and I don't like reading non-intuitively, if that makes sense. The cardstock, even though it's linen, and I love linen cardstock, is very stiff in a way, or maybe it's because I'm not using it, who knows, maybe that's it. I like the artwork. I nearly said I loved it, but I don't love it, I like it. Although I find it a bit cartoonish and ridiculous and over the top. I don't know, it's just something about this deck doesn't work for me, and even though I give it chances, chance after chance after chance, it still doesn't work for me for some reason that I've yet to understand. So yeah, this is one of the decks that I've given a second chance to, and it still didn't work out. Next deck is the Ethereal Visions. I've wanted this deck for such a long time, and I think it's gorgeous, but then I found out about the, if I say scandal might be too much, and in terms of gold and gilding, I think this is a bit too tacky in a way. I have the Golden Tarot by Klimt or something like that, I forgot the name of it, and it's such a subtle gilding, and it's so much nicer than this one. This is a bit in your face. Yes, the quality of production is really good, but the creators' past stories with creating decks, taking people's monies via Kickstarter, I think, and then selling the deck mass market without people who backed it on Kickstarter ever receiving their decks or something like that. It was a ridiculous story. I've heard it secondhand because I wasn't aware of this deck, so my copy is mass market, but then they had a Kickstarter in 2021, and that's how I learned that this was a scandalous production in the end. It kind of put me off before realizing that there's a very dark history behind it, but now I just stopped using it. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna use the Ethereal Visions, and I'm like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I end up like passing and using other decks because I just don't feel drawn to use it. Even though I like it, I still like the art. I think it's gorgeous. It's just, I don't know, there's something about it. And the last deck in this category is the beautiful Pagan Otherworlds. It's a lovely deck. I always say I got it for to collect it and nothing else. Why are my cards upside down? But I would still like to use it. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep this deck, to be honest. Every time I try to use it, I just go to a quirky deck like the Jonasa Jaws or the Botan Tarot or basically anything else but this deck. Even though the artwork is beautiful and although it kind of looks religious in a way, I think I like it, but there's something preventing me from using this deck, and I'm not sure what. As I said, every time I try to use it, it's like, not today, and not tomorrow, and not ever, basically. So my copy is pretty much unused. I flip through the cards sometimes. I'm proud of it. I think the production quality is amazing. But in terms of me using it as a tarot reader, as I should, this is not gonna happen. Okay, next we have, what deck do you need to give a second chance to, and why didn't it work out the first time? I have the Herb Crafter's Tarot and the White Numen. White Numen Tarot, I think I was blinded by the light, to quote a song, because I got myself the special edition with the extra Oracle deck and the golden gilding. It's a deck I never use because of the golden gilding. I think it's very flimsy because of the way it's made, and I think I should give it another chance, because every time I see the standard version of the deck, and I do have the Cosmic Slumber, which I use far more than this one, even though I don't like the artwork as much as I like the White Numen. It's because it's a simple deck without golden gilding, and I think it stands the test of time better than this one. This feels a bit pretentious and a bit too much, and every time I try to read with it, I stumble, and I feel like I need to check the book to make sure that the message I'm sending is the right one, and it's a bit of a pain, to be honest, to read with it. So yeah, this is a no. Next one is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. This is a deck that I've never ever used. I thought I would like it, and I don't think I've even shuffled the cards, to be honest. Oh, I did. Okay, cool. I think the backs are too busy. I don't like the cardboard feeling, and the cardstock is annoying, and they're very glossy, and it's just I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. I think I wanted to learn more about plants, and I don't think the deck lends itself to that. I think it kind of expects you to know about the plants, and most of them are, I think, indigenous plants, if I remember correctly, because I've read the book at some point. And about this deck, the Herb Crafter's Tarot follows the structure of the standard tarot. We chose the herbs for each suit according to how their medicine is acquired. So it's yeah, I don't know. I wish I would have done more research, because it kind of feels wrong to use this deck because I don't connect to this culture. I was expecting to be able to learn, but it feels like there's a blockage somewhere. The deck, I think it's gorgeous. I love the cards. I think they look amazing. But if you ask me to read with them as a tarot reader, I don't think I can. Honestly, I don't think I can. And I don't feel like it's fair for me to read with it at the same time, which is interesting. Yeah, this is the Herb Crafter's Tarot. My favorite prompt is, what deck you wouldn't give a chance to, and why. And I have some of my old trusted decks here that I've always mentioned in my videos. Sorry for that. First of all, we have the Druidcraft Tarot, and I've already rehomed that deck because I just couldn't mesh with it. It just didn't work. Second of all, we have the Da Vinci Enigma Tarot, and I think this experience was tainted by the fact that my first copy had a missing card, and then it just, I don't know, it feels underwhelming to say the least. I don't know what I was expecting. It's an art deck, and I do prefer art decks. I have loads of other artists. I have the Geiger Tarot and the deck based on Klimt, and I have other, oh my god, my brain isn't working right now, but I do have several decks that relate to artists, right? So I was expecting something, but for some reason this doesn't inspire me at all, so I've never even shuffled it. I just checked to see if the cards are all in there. They are. Happy days. That's all I'm interested. Next I have the Magical Nordic Tarot, which is a pain to open, and it has so much paper insert that doesn't make sense, and a book that doesn't make sense, and I hate the glossy thing, and the backs are nice, I'm gonna give it that, but I just cannot use the deck. I find it annoying, I find it, the art doesn't work for me. I try to use it, I just didn't care for it. Yeah, I absolutely don't like it. And obviously, because of the way it's built, sometimes the cards fall into that hole. It's a lovely experience, what can I say. I was expecting more about Nordic mythology, but I didn't get it, so yeah. And the last one in this section is the Harmony Tarot. I always mention this deck, I'm sorry, it's just one of my pet peeves. I think I need to rehome it. I maybe should do that. It's just, you cannot read this deck without reading the guidebook. And as I mentioned, I do like my readings intuitive. I do not like to rely on the guidebook to know. Like even now, I don't know what suit this is. It's the 9 of summer, I think. This is the 7 of spring, but then this is the 8 of spring and the 3 of spring. And I'm not gonna sit and look at the cards and count the flowers or look at the numbers if I don't even know what that means, you know. It's just feels annoying, and to me as a reader it doesn't help me connect with the deck, so I'm not using it and I'm not giving it a second chance. I don't see why I should. Next one, what deck are you rehoming after a second chance? And I have multiple. First of all, I have the Spirit Song Tarot, which was such a blessing when I got it, but because I do like it as an art project, and I think I've gotten to a point where Paulina Cassidy's work does lend itself to an art project, for me at least. But the deck doesn't look well on camera, doesn't look well in videos. It's a bit of a fluffy deck, if I'm honest, and I never reach out to read with it. I never did. Whenever I tried to read with it was because I felt like the person I was reading for was in need of a fluffy deck, and even then it felt a bit forced, so I kind of pushed it to the side And even though I like the artwork, as I said, I think the artwork is beautiful, and I do have Joie de Vivre, and I have another deck. I think I have the Paulina deck as well. So I have Paulina Cassidy's decks in my collection. I never read with them because they just feel too fluffy in a way that, I don't know, the Muse Tarot doesn't feel fluffy. So yeah, this is a deck I've never given a second chance to. Next I have the sister decks, the Fitia Botanica and the Ophidia Rosa. While I do like the artwork, the production quality is amazing, I can never read with this deck. Like, there's no guidebook, there's one leaflet containing some poems, but I want to know why was this plan chosen for the Three of Pentacles, and what's its name? Like, I don't know the name of the plant. And same with the Ace of Swords, the Ten of Wands, the Star, the Fool. What are these flowers, and why were they chosen to represent this tarot archetype? And not to mention that shuffling with this deck is kind of impossible, at least for me. Like, the cards stick together. I hope you can see. Like, they stick together. I cannot riffle shuffle, I cannot corner shuffle, so it's just a pain to have it. Fitia Botanica, I'm not really convinced I want to rehome, but at the same time I never reach for it. Same as with the Ophidia Rosa. And while the other issues of not having a guidebook doesn't exist with this deck. You have a keyword and you have I think the flower here. But the problem with this deck is the fact that the cardstock is awful. The cards stick together. I cannot shuffle it. Like, as you can see, it breaks down in multiple cards and that's it. You cannot shuffle it, you cannot do anything with it, and it's just annoying to do. Like, I cannot shuffle it properly to mix the cards together, and I never reach out for this deck because of this reason. It's impractical. Okay. What deck have you let go of and are now considering to repurchase? That didn't happen so far, but I can almost say that the White Fly Tarot falls into that category, because there was a Kickstarter campaign and I wanted to back it, and then I said, well, I don't need it, and then when it ended I wanted the deck so bad, so I just waited until the Indiegogo campaign started and I purchased the deck off of that. Now, am I happy I gave this a second chance? I am. Is it a perfect deck? No, it's not. Like, for instance, I had to put this ribbon on under the lid because it's this glossy material that gets stuck on this other glossy material. The cardstock is a very thick linen finish and it's really smelly, I will have to say. It's fairly easy to shuffle, so from that point of view I like it. I've never read the guidebook. There's also a guidebook that doesn't fit in my box anymore because of the ribbon, so I've never read the guidebook. I like the sound it makes when it shuffles, so it's a nice addition to my collection, and overall I'm happy I purchased it. I think the production quality could have been nicer. It wasn't an expensive deck. I think I paid, I don't know, 35 euros or something like that. Anyway, it wasn't really expensive. That's what I'm trying to say. But it's kind of hard to take it out of the box if you want to use it. And unless you're happy to make this contraption with the ribbon like I made it, then yeah, happy days. And I think last but not least, and I don't even have the deck to show it to you, is what deck are you considering to give a second chance and purchase? That would be the Somnia Tarot. And I've mentioned this deck before. I think I want it, but then I didn't want it anymore. I think the artwork is intriguing but also a bit scary, and I go through phases where I find it a bit overwhelming, especially if my mental health isn't necessarily the best in that moment. So I'm still thinking if I should give it a second chance or not. I think the artwork is amazing, but also the shipping costs are prohibitive, even for the UK. I think the amount of money you have to pay to get this deck, I think it's quite a lot. So I'm not sure that financially is this deck is a sound purchase, if I'm completely honest. But I'm still considering giving it a second chance, and maybe I'll bite the bullet and get it, who knows. We'll see in time. Well, I think this is it for me. These are all the prompts, let's call them that, if you like, that I thought of with regards to second chances. We can make this a tag, and if you want to respond to it and tag me, that would be lovely. If not, happy to just share my opinions into the void. If you have any comments, any, I don't know, any decks that you want to include in this list, or if you want to share your list, I'd be more than happy to read those comments. If you want to like, share, subscribe to my channel, that's also fine and dandy. And in the meantime, I want to thank you for sticking with me through this very long, rambly video. And thank you so much for your time. I would love to see you in another video. And in the meantime, have an amazing day, week, month, year, life. Thanks a lot, and see you in the next one. Bye.